we should be live now. So yeah, it might take a few seconds for it to pop up on YouTube because that's how OBS is. But yeah, I do appreciate you being on the show, and this is a pretty big step because like you are a pretty big channel, and haven't had someone of your caliber on my show yet. So I do appreciate this, taking your time, bringing on the show, and do hope to ask you some pretty interesting questions.
Yeah, definitely, man. No problem. Thanks for inviting me. I'm down to come talk with anybody, no problem for me.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. So let everybody know what you've been playing this week.
Honestly, this year hasn't like really had a lot of games that have gotten my interest. I think I've beaten probably 4 games this year. Right now, I did get into a beta of a game. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to actually say it, even mention that I'm playing it, but it's a beta for a fighting game. People could probably guess what it is. So I played a little bit of that. Didn't get that much time into it. But honestly, right now I'm in between games. Probably Black Myth might be the next game that I play. But yeah, this year to me, kind of dry. Not playing a lot.
Yeah, that's fair. I haven't been playing a lot of new games myself either. Honestly, I've just been going back to my back catalog of games. So you're playing so you can't even give a hint of what that game might be, that fighting game?
I mean, technically there wasn't an NDA. I think I just can't talk about it or
all right, that's
gameplay
fair.
of it. But it's 2KXO.
All right.
Originally known as Project L. That's what, and then they gave it an official title. So played a little bit of that. Before that, I was playing Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree. But that was weeks ago. Beat that and haven't really been playing much ever since that. I did play a good amount of the Marvel Rivals beta also.
Ooh, yeah, that game. A lot of people are hyped for that game. I haven't tried it out myself yet, but I heard it's pretty good.
Yeah, I like it.
Honestly, I'm not too much into those hero type of games because I honestly feel like there's just so much at this point. Because like games like Apex, it's just like there's so many games out there with like those hero type of character roster games. It's like, yeah, it all blends together.
Yeah, I mean, I'm real particular with games within genres, right? Like a lot of people will think I don't like a certain genre, but it's not that I don't like a certain genre. I'm just very specific about what games within the genre I play. There's a lot of small nuances, game decisions and game mechanic decisions that could decide if I like a game or not. So it's not really about the genre. I really am into almost all genres, but it may not be all the games in that genre I like.
All right. That's good. That's cool to know. So with that, I guess we'll get into the questions then. So what I like to do for all my guests is kind of go from a list of questions of just gaming related questions and then go into the content. But we'll go into the content last, so I'll save those for later. So my first question I have for you for my list is your first console that you played on. I want to know what you started with, where you started,
Yeah, I mean, my first console was Super Nintendo. The first games I remember playing were like Donkey Kong, Super Mario Brothers, Legend of the Seven Stars. All those like really integral pillar games on the Super Nintendo. Aladdin, Lion King. Yeah, all those core games that if you were gaming at that era, you played those. So yeah, for me it was Super Nintendo.
Interesting. So were you a big fan of the Super Nintendo console back in the day, or was it just something that it was the only thing you could afford type of thing?
Oh no, I was I was a big fan of it. I mean, it was my first console. My parents bought it for me. I was 5 years old when 5 years old when I was 5 years old when I got it, but it came out a little bit before that. So no, I love that console. I think the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo was great.
Yeah, I think most people call it the SNES, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, I call it the SNES, but like people don't like when you actually pronounce it that way, right? Like you can type it that way, but I've said it out loud and people like you can't call it the SNES like out loud. You can only type it.
Oh damn! I didn't realize that. Well, okay, now I know not to say that, or else I'll get canceled by Nintendo fans. But, yeah. But so you never got into the Atari or anything like that before, or
no? I played it, but obviously it was before my time. But I have played it and experienced it because I knew I have cousins that are older than me, and they had it. But I think I can't even remember. I played Duck Hunt. I remember playing Duck Hunt. I think that's about it, really. That's all I can remember.
All right. So any specific games you could remember from this SNES that you enjoyed playing?
Yeah, like I said, Aladdin, Donkey Kong, Mario Kart. Yeah, like a lot of those core like first party Nintendo games that are still going now. Let me see what else. It's been so long. Dang. Of course, I did play. I don't play the Zelda games now, but I played the Zelda games then. I played Secret of Mana, Contra, of course. Really loved those early Contra games. Super Punch Out, Mega Man, of course.
Mega Man's a good one.
Yeah,
love that franchise.
Yeah, those are some of the big ones for me.
All right. I guess I go on from that to asking you this. So I like to ask this for my guests. I want you to name your top 5 favorite games of all time. If you can name top 5.
So I actually made a list of my top 100 games before. And honestly, it's hard to really do accurately because a lot of those can be interchangeable at any given time. But let me think off the top of my head. Probably I have to put SOCOM 2 in the top 5, Final Fantasy 7. Even though I love the remake, I probably would have to put the original in the top 5 over the remake. Not only because that's when you experience it for the first time, it is special. So I would say that one. Metal Gear Solid 1.
Wait, the original, the game, the arcade one, or the MGS one with Snake?
MGS one on PS1.
All right.
Yeah, that one. So I said SOCOM, MGS one. Damn. Might have to maybe put an Uncharted 2 in there. That's so many games. I think that's 5. I think that's 4. I said 4, right?
Yeah.
Damn. Resident Evil 4. I probably got to put Resident Evil 4 in there because I beat that a crazy amount of times.
How much did you play the remake?
Oh, Resident Evil 4? Oh, I probably beat it 5-6 times. The original, I probably beat that 10 times. I think I've purchased that on every single console that they ported it to. So that's 5. Some honorable mentions, probably Battlefield 3 would probably have to be in, if I could probably find a place for Battlefield 3 in the top 5.
Not Big
Yeah.
T, just top 5 games of all time for his favorites. They don't have to be exclusives or anything.
No, yeah, those are just top 5 in general. Yeah.
Going back to Battlefield real quick, I'm more of a fan of Bad Company. I just want to know what like your thoughts are for that series of Battlefield games. Did you ever play those?
Yeah, I played Bad Company 1 and 2. I love those. I don't know why they never went back to them. I feel like EA has just made really dumb decisions with Battlefield. They had something. They just had something really good, and they just for some reason felt like they had to be different and go in a different direction where all you really had to do was keep making Battlefield, and the core fan base would have been more than happy with that. Battlefield fans don't really want and need a whole lot of deviation from the formula. But yeah, I loved Bad Company 1 and 2. I loved 1, loved 3. 2042 obviously was launched terribly. It was botched. Now it's good. It's very playable now. But yeah, they botched that release. I played 4 at the beginning, but it had a lot of bugs at the start. Like there was a lot of problems, and I didn't go back to it a lot. But yeah, like Battlefield has been like hit or miss. Is like the one will be really good, then the next one will be kind of sketchy. So yeah.
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, because I came off of Battlefield 4 because that was the first one I started with. Went into Battlefield 5 or which, I forgot which. When did they go back to the World War I setting? Was that Battlefield 5 or was that 1?
Battlefield 1 came out, so that was World War 1, and then Battlefield 5 was World War 2.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now I'm remembering. Yeah. So I went from 4 to Battlefield 5. So 5 was kind of iffy for me because the sniping in that game was horrendous to deal with. I don't know if you had that.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
Yeah. And lots of people just camping from far away places just to snipe you right when you spawn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, interesting list. I respect it. Also, in regards to Final Fantasy, playing the original and playing the remake, honestly, is both are different experiences since the remake has a different story to it too. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty different. Yeah, it's very modernized. So I like the direction they went with it. Their modern take of it, though.
Yeah, definitely. And it gives you a whole new experience. So that's nice. But all right. So with that, I like to throw this curveball, people, because I know it's a big stump. So I gotta ask you, what's your most hated game of all time, or least favorite?
I hate Sonic games. Damn, people say I hate a lot of games. Now I gotta think. I hate Sonic games. I hate Sly Cooper the Sly Cooper series. I hate Death Stranding. I hate walking simulators and like teenage simulator games, like Life is Strange and that type of stuff. Those are a few games I hate. Yeah.
If you had to name one that was like your most least liked, which one would you say though?
Definitely between Death Stranding and Sonic, I would say.
Damn, that pains me to hear. I'm a Sonic fan.
I might hate Death Stranding a little bit more. I just think Sonic is not a good game, not a good series, and not a good concept. But I probably hate Death Stranding a little bit more.
All right, I'll take that. I'll take that over Sonic. Yeah, I grew up with Sonic personally, so it's always been my personal favorite, especially because I love platformers. But I can understand why some people don't like it, especially when Sega's kind of inconsistent with the quality.
Yeah, it's just weird that the quality for that game is like there's way more bad games than there are good Sonics, and most of the fans, like the hardcore fans, will admit to that. So that's why I'm just like yeah, I don't, you know, they hold strong in their love for Sonic, all the fans. I don't know how y'all do it, because it's for the most part been mediocre for the long term. But listen, y'all stay strong and y'all support it. So cool.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. It's just about tanking, just like the worst, just going through the ringer.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So with that, I want to know what game kind of got you to take gaming more seriously, like kind of got you to fall in love with gaming, like realize it was like a really good source of entertainment that you can like just go into it.
Oh, it would definitely be SOCOM 2. That game just really made me a very competitive gamer. It like kind of brought out my like strategic and tactical side, and just really brought on my love for like online multiplayer. That game is just, you know, if you never got to experience it, people don't understand how special that game was. It was honestly indescribable. Just lobbies and there was like clan matches, and at the time we had like game battles. That was like the version of I guess MLG, you know, Major League Gaming or whatever leagues they have now. Like game battles was it back then, and you would literally have clans. Like there was a clan system built in SOCOM, so you would literally practice with your clan, you know, as a team. You would go on game battles, sign up for matches against other teams and to play against other teams, and it would be just very intense. Like it would be really, really intense, man. Like just your clan against another clan, and it would be like, what did we do? Was it might have been best out of 5 or some shit like that, and you know, just randomized game modes, and it was just like a game that really required a lot of skill, a lot of coordination, a lot of teamwork, and yeah, it was just really special. Interesting.
I never got into SOCOM series. I kind of started with the PS2. I was pretty young though, but I never understood the actual appeal of SOCOM, because, you know, as a younger gamer, looking back at that series, you know, it looks a bit dated, but I guess the huge appeal was the multiplayer when you put it like that. But what stood out from that compared to like some of the competition, I guess, if there was any?
I mean, I think the only other game like SOCOM at the time was probably like the Rainbow Six series. Can't remember which Rainbow Six game was out at the time, but there wasn't like a lot of. I think there wasn't like a lot of strategic, you know, tactical shooters. There was definitely more then than there are now. Like the only thing now is Siege, you know, still a Rainbow Six game. But that's really what made it special in my mind. Just the teamwork, that, you know, the fact that it required communication, strategy. It was thinking just as much as skill. You know, it was really like levels to that game, you know, just how good you were thinking on your feet, you know, just improvising, you know, winning clutch situations where you're outnumbered, playing the objective. Just all that stuff is, you know, what I love and what made that game special.
That's cool. And that actually kind of leads me to my next question, but real quick, Kun in the chat saying Rainbow Six Siege on Dreamcast is the GOAT. I didn't even know that was on Dreamcast. I guess it makes sense since that did support multiplayer. Yeah, there was a
Rainbow Six game on there. Yeah, there was a Rainbow Six game on there, I believe.
Yeah, so that kind of actually leads me into my next question, because I kind of took a look into your channel's history, and I saw that you played a lot of multiplayer games early on in your channel's history. So
Yeah.
were you big into multiplayer games? Like just kind of like going after like SOCOM and all that?
Yeah, I mean, multiplayer was honestly the definition of that was the identity of my channel. And that's what I wanted the identity to stay as. It's just this channel where I played a lot of different multiplayer. But over time, a lot of the multiplayer styles that I love just started to disappear. And people theorize there's different reasons why those type of multiplayers disappeared. I think they will eventually, start to come back. Some people don't believe that because, like games like Fortnite and other things like that have taken over, and now everybody kind of goes in that direction of these kind of colorful, like these colorful battle royale, though, stylistic type games, where I like the gritty shooters. That's kind of like my lane. Not all the way gritty, but games that really just focus on gunplay. I don't think there's a lot of those being made anymore. Right, ones that really focused on gameplay. The not that I have a problem with hero shooters, because there are some hero shooters that I like, but the non-hero shooters without abilities being like the main part of the game. If you know what I'm saying, the 360 PS3 style multiplayers, that was my bread and butter. Now you don't get a lot of those anymore, and that's kind of why, like in my opinion, why my channel. Aside from obviously life happening, because I've been on YouTube like 13 years, so obviously as I get older I got less time to make videos and stuff like that. But yeah, the departure of the multiplayer games I like have resulted in my channel being less active and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's fair. So I guess that kind of leads me into my next question of what was your personal favorite console generation? Because I know the PS3 and 360 had tons of multiplayer games back then that were like different and varied. So, was that your favorite generation, or like?
It's tough because that's my favorite generation for multiplayer games. My favorite generation for single player games, that it would probably be PS4, Xbox One. Multiplayer games, 360, PS3. So that's why it's really hard for me to choose overall best generation, because one had one aspect I really liked, the other had the other aspect I really liked, but both of them were like lacking in one dimension, in my opinion. So it's hard for me to choose one overall.
That's fair, I guess. So you kind of want a complete package then. Really?
Yeah. Like that's what I want. I want both, and and this generation isn't complete yet. Like I like this generation. A lot of people think this generation isn't great. I disagree with that. I think a lot of people are looking at previous generations with rose tinted glasses. Versus, I remember when we were in those generations, that wasn't the sentiment at all. Like, I think people have a lot of recency bias where they think the most recent thing is the worst until that thing isn't recent anymore, and then they look back at it and they look at it very, very positively. Because when we were in the PS3, specifically PS3, if you were on the PS3 side of things, 360 was having a great generation up until like 2011, and that was towards the end of the generation because they kind of like didn't have a lot of releases. But during the PS3's time, up until like maybe 2010, it wasn't great, and anybody would tell you that at that time. But then now, fast forward a bunch of years later, everybody, like a lot of people, look back at that generation like it was the greatest thing ever. That wasn't what people were saying during the time. So
oh yeah, as time change or passes by, perspectives tend to shift, really. So yeah, but I guess going on from that, I guess I gotta ask you, you have any favorite moments though, like from playing like your multiplayer games, or like just like playing games with friends at all? Like any favorite gaming moment, really?
I mean, most of them, yeah. I mean, that's why I love multiplayer, because multiplayer gives you those unique experiences that you can't really replicate. It's so dynamic. Everything will always be different every time you play. Something different is always going to happen. Single player, when you play a single player game, even though those are the games and the stories that really stick with us long term, they're static. They're not going to change no matter how many times you play that single player game. Typically the same thing is going to happen with little variation. But yes, I mean, some of my favorite memories are just like when I was younger, I used to like rage and scream a lot and just talk shit on the mic. I think just talking trash on the mic is what I miss a lot, and like just laughing with the people that I play these multiplayer games with. Yeah, I think those rage moments are probably the most memorable, honestly. And that's what people mostly remember me for. So
you probably miss those Call of Duty days, or like whenever like games had the open lobbies then, right?
Yeah, like I wasn't a big fan of Call of Duty, never really was, of the multiplayer, but yeah, I love the culture of that era, of the toxicity, being in the lobbies, the talking shit. I love it. I wish those times would come back. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a shame now that these consoles have evolved. They just secluded us now just with our friends, so we don't get that chances anymore. Unless like you're playing GTA, of course. But yeah. I don't think that's ever going to come back, though, to be honest. Especially with how safe companies are trying to be.
Yeah, they don't necessarily want that on their platform, but I think it was great.
Yeah, definitely. But I guess with that, I guess my final gaming related question. I want to get your thoughts about like where you think about the state of gaming currently, because a lot of people tend to think like one way or the other, like either negatively or positively. But like, want to know your kind of thoughts, like how also you brought up a lot of people aren't looking at this generation fondly at all. So yeah.
Just the state of gaming. What do I think of it?
Yeah.
It's very volatile right now. It's very much in, flux. A lot of layoffs are happening, but I think that's just because gaming is too accessible. I think that's an issue. And I say that, and people think, oh, you're crazy to think that. But I think the fact that we've had, the report is like 20,000 layoffs in this just 1 year in the gaming industry. That means gaming is too accessible. Gaming development and the access to be a developer has gotten too accessible to the point where anybody could do it. And people will say, well, sure, that's good because it leads to new ideas and people creating more things. But the problem is you don't have enough people to consume all those extra things. So it's like, okay, there's more ideas out there, but who's playing them? Most of those new things, nobody's playing them. So that's why that's one of the things that leads to all these layoffs. Of course, it's a whole bunch of like mismanagement and executives making bad decisions, and not making captivating games. But yeah, part of it is just being too accessible. Anybody can make a game now, and I think that's a problem. The game development, just the industry is supposed to stay a certain limit of personnel. I think it should, and I think that's where it functions best, when it has a certain number of people creating games, and when we only have a certain number of games coming out a year, because that's just a healthy ecosystem. when you have too many developers, too many games coming out, nobody can even keep up with all this shit. There's not enough money to go around for all this stuff. People don't have enough time to play all these things. So there's just a healthy medium of where, you know, the quantity of gaming should be, because gaming has grown as far as like amount of people consuming it and playing it, but not to the amount where it can support everything that's being created. So I think that's the problem. And I think even though that's been a bad thing in the industry, I think moving forward, I think I'm optimistic about moving forward, because I feel like this is kind of like nature healing. It's like course correcting. Gaming industry cannot be this big. There's a lot of like trial by fire, trial by error going on of gaming going into some new territory and figuring out, yeah, a lot of this shit doesn't work. So it's a lot of experiment. So moving forward, I think they'll look at it and understand, okay, what doesn't work and what we don't need to do and what we do need to do. I think next year and the year after will be just much better. That's the way
fingers crossed,
I
right?
look at it. Yeah.
You think with that, video games will improve too? Because like, you know, nowadays at least games are kind of suffering with how these companies are reeling from this headwinds.
Yeah, I'm optimistic. Some people think like this is some doomed landscape that we're in, but I'm like, it's kind of just cyclical, right? We were here before. People not anywhere where we've had this many layoffs in 1 year, but gaming as a whole has been unhealthy before. It's been there before. It goes up and down, right? It has its ebbs and flows, and people act like this is something super unique thing. Oh, it's just, to me, I just look at it as ebbs and flows. It'll go back up to a very healthy state as far as like sales and the quality of games that are releasing and things like that, and the overall happiness of the consumer. It'll go back up and be great again, and then at some point it might take another dip. It's all a cycle.
Honestly, I kind of look at it this way, because like how you mentioned before with the PS3 generation, how before it wasn't looked at as fondly when it first came out, because like that during that generation, a lot of developers closed, a lot of games are having problems, a lot of publishers were shutting down. So it's kind of like it course corrected into the PS4 generation, and now we're kind of back into that cycle again of like just bad stuff happening. So yeah. But with that, I guess we'll go into your content related questions. So I want to know, like, what made you start doing YouTube in the first place? Like, lead me into your thought process.
So I was a freshman in college, and I was just bored at the time. This was when YouTube was very, very new. I think it had only started like maybe a year and a half, 2 years at that point when I was in college, my freshman year. So it was the wild, wild west. Like it was just not a very developed platform yet, right? It didn't have all these features that you have now. It was still an infant, very early. And I was just bored in my dorm room, just on YouTube watching videos, seeing people upload gameplay videos and talk about games and stuff like that. And I loved games. I was pretty knowledgeable about games, played them my whole life, and I was like, I could do that. So it started out just as a thing to kill time, have fun with. And then I just really started investing my time into learning how to, do it better, how to run a channel better, editing, getting the right equipment, all that stuff. So it was really just about my passion to talk about games and just my interest in just speaking.
Yeah, and you must have been doing your research then, because it's not easy to just start a channel like that, So And seeing a bit of your early videos. I don't know if you had any more because you know, a lot of people do like to hide their older videos, you know. But I don't know if you've, I don't know, but like you seem to have some quality put into your videos, so, and I could see that over time.
Yeah, I mean, so my very original channel got shut down because I had some copyright strikes, because back then, you know, you couldn't just upload gameplay as easily, and the rules on YouTube were a lot more strict. So I did get a few copyright strikes and got my original channel shut down. So I just made a new one, and you know,
Is that the channel that we have today?
Over again. Yes, and I have cleaned up my channel. So some of my original videos of this channel are definitely still up. Some of the older ones are gone, but a good amount of them are still there.
So what made you because I noticed that you kind of shifted a little bit away from doing the multiplayer stuff to like kind of doing some reviews and here and there on your channel, as well as like some tech side of the gaming stuff. What kind of led you transitioning from your content that you had on your channel?
It's really just like I said, lack of multiplayer games that I like. Because in a perfect world, I would upload nothing but multiplayer videos. I would live stream it, upload them. That's all I would ever do. I probably wouldn't do anything else. But I don't have I just don't have any of those games multiplayer games that I really like. That they just aren't making them right now, like PvP, the type of PvP games I like. So, like I said, in a ideal world, that's all my channel would be every day, every week, every month, all year. It would be a multiplayer centric channel, and it sucks because that's not. I don't feel like I'm able to do that because I don't have. I just don't have the game to be able to make that content. So I would still probably do some tech reviews and like my podcast and things like that, but that would be the focus of my channel if I had that type of those type of games to still play, but I don't. So
go back into your kind of beginnings, I guess, of your current channel. How was it transitioning from like the multiplayer stuff to like switching to what you do kind of now? Was it like a big shift for your channel, or like did people just kind of like go with you and like follow what you were doing?
So a lot of people, obviously from when I was doing that, still follow me and watch my stuff now. But of course, there's some people that, you know, watched for the older content of what I was doing with multiplayer gameplay and stuff like that, which I don't blame them, because that's what they came for, and that's what I would still want to do. And like I just came up with a way to really like streamline the type of videos I make. Like I don't even really make reviews anymore. I don't really remember the last time I made a review for a game. That's due to time constraints, because I'm a lot busier than I was, 12 years ago or whatever. So, because obviously I still have an actual career and stuff like that, and that takes up most of my time. So I don't have time to just and doing a review doesn't even take that much time, honestly. I could crank out a quality review and in a few hours, but it's like I'd rather just do what I do now and just make a video talking about, giving my thoughts on news and developments that happen, because I pretty much don't edit anything anymore. Like I just open OBS. I have I have like my intro set in OBS. I hit the button, my intro plays, it switches to my camera. I do one take. I most of the time I never edit anything unless like something happens and I have to change something I said or something like that, and I just upload it to YouTube. So when I do a video, all it takes is the length of my video, that's how much time I spent on it. Like people who are like full-time content creators, they can spend that time editing and doing and putting in more effort and all that stuff. I don't got no time to do that. I don't want to spend 30 minutes editing and then uploading and all that stuff. Like, nah, I don't have no time. I don't have no time for that. That's like, because
If
it's
you have
like,
a career
you know,
for YouTube, at least, right?
yeah, if that was my full-time career, it would be different. But it's not, because it's like, well, would I rather spend the next 30 minutes editing, or would I rather just be playing the game? You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the reasons I don't really do anything besides my podcast and just and just cover certain news topics is due to the time, you know, it takes.
Yeah, covering news is pretty easy. I was doing that for a while myself, but for me, it kind of took a little bit longer to put out videos because I would do a lot of editing. So yeah, but I can definitely understand where you're coming from though about just like not having the time or like, you know, the resources to just constantly do that, you know. But yeah. So you mentioned your podcast, so I want to transition into that now. So what made you start your podcast? Because like it's a pretty old show at this point now, and I want to know like what made you start it originally.
So that started from the Skype days. Me and a bunch of people just used to be in Skype, just, you know, kind of like how people hang out in Discords now. Skype was it like 10 years ago, and we just used to be talking shit, talking about gaming, talking about whatever topic, and that just evolved into an actual podcast. And this was kind of before the time that podcasting got popular. So I was kind of like one of the feel pretty confident saying I was one of the first to do it on the gaming side on YouTube. And yeah, it really just came from just talking with people, you know, with other gamers on Skype. And I was like, oh, we should just do this live on YouTube.
So really that simple, huh?
Yeah, that was really it.
Yeah. Well, I think I actually support you with saying that you're probably like one of the first, or at least like one of the few that were doing YouTube at the time, because like there wasn't many really, and especially some that had the equipment to do it at the very least. So yeah, so
yeah.
I guess that kind of actually leads me to my next question on how you met like some of like your co-hosts or friends that are on the show today.
So I met most of them just by, you know, through the process of just making videos in those early YouTube days. Like back then, people would make videos like in reply to each other. Like it was literally like a tight, closed neighborhood back then of gamers and people who made YouTube videos on YouTube. So everybody kind of knew each other. And just most of the people I know now, it was because I was making videos, they were making videos, or it's some people who were just watching my channel at that time, and then they started making content, started talking on Skype, started playing games together. That's really how it you know came about. Pretty much everybody that I podcast with.
Interesting. Because I know a lot of people just like have different stories, you know. Some are either like were friends with each other before, like the Iron Lords, or some just got in contact with each other over time and wanted to do things. So interesting.
Yeah, no, it's all online.
Yeah, interesting how online has a lot of this. To be honest, like without being able to meet each other online or like through Discord or like whatever nowadays is kind of hard. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Especially back then too, because I think probably the only other way would be through forum posts.
Yep.
Also, Hector in the chat saying it's on your channels or the podcast's 10-year anniversary.
Yeah, the podcast started in 2015, so next year August would be the 10-year anniversary.
Have anything big planned for that anniversary or not really?
Probably not. I'm very like satisfied with um just keeping things as they are, just having fun on the podcast, just doing our regular conversation. I'm very comfortable with where the podcast is at and very satisfied with like kind of coasting where it's at. I'm just very fine with that. Like I said, especially since in real life I have so much things going on. I'm not necessarily at this point. I do have plans. I would say plans later on. When
I'll get to asking you that later for my last question.
Nothing right now.
Yeah. All right, that's fair.
Nothing right now for next year.
But no big celebration though for next year for your channel at least.
Nope.
Interesting. I know some people would go that extra step of doing just like a big celebration, but I guess not for everybody. But so going back to your channel though, I saw while I was digging through, I saw that you're actually hosting another show, the Planet Xbox show on your channel.
Yeah, I mean, Kid Smooth hosts that. I just upload it. He decided, he used to put it on his channel, but he told me that he would, be down with putting it on my channel so it can get more eyes and things like that. And it's from the Xbox fan perspective. So yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm cool with that.
Interesting. So is your channel kind of like turning into like Colin Moriarty's kind of channel, where he hosts like different shows, or is it just kind of like a thing where like you're just willing to help him out, get him some more attention before he kind of goes back to his channel?
Yeah, it wasn't my plan to make it like, I guess, the network of different shows. I'm open to that. Like at this point, if like I had a Nintendo podcast to also upload, I think that'll be great. My thing is just, because like I said, I'm just too busy to really have a hand in too many things. So I'm just not gonna, I just can't do anything where I have to manage or maintain somebody's work or show or anything like that. Like all Smooth does is send it to me and I upload it. I don't really do much else besides, I don't like, monitor their show or necessarily even produce it. He does it, sends it to me, I upload it. So, but I would be down to have like somebody do a Nintendo podcast if they wanted to put it on my channel, then I would be open to that. But that's how it came about. It wasn't my plan. Smooth just came to me with it.
All right, that's cool. That's cool to know. So, but you're still open to having like a Nintendo show on your channel, though.
Yeah.
What about a PC related show?
Probably not. Only because I don't think. I mean, I mainly play on PC, but I don't think like there's anything unique about. I don't think PC warrants its own show, because I think, to me, PC is just a vehicle, right? It's just a better running vehicle to play the games that we already play on consoles. That's how I look at PC. Like I don't even know what somebody would even talk about on a PC centric show week to week, aside from maybe certain hardware things. Like, yeah, I don't think it would be very game focused. It might be hardware focused, and I don't think that's very interesting. I just don't think it's warranted.
All right, that's fair. You practically stole the words I was going to say about tech, but yeah. I guess when you say it like that, it might just be a tech focused show. So yeah. But interesting. So with that, I guess my next question though I want to get from you is like your thoughts about like your viewership and like your subscribers, because like your channel is pretty big for your size, and like I kind of find it interesting. Like you're just kind of like you're just going with the flow, really, or at least that's kind of the vibe that you give, because a lot of people would probably like want to like grow faster, and try to get more people to view their stuff. But like,
yeah, it's not really my concern or priority. I'm really not concerned with my view count or my subscriber count, because it's not my, like I said, it's not my full-time job, right? If this was like my full-time gig that I was doing and I was able to focus on it, oh yeah, I would focus on growing and just the quality. Not that my quality's bad or anything, but I would go all in. I would put everything into it to grow, to make it the best and all that stuff. But yeah, I'm just not able to do that because YouTube is just not my focus in my career. It's always been a side thing for me. It's always been a side hustle. It's always been a hobby. So yeah, it's just not my focus to grow it, and be this big YouTuber. I don't even consider myself a big YouTuber. Some people look at that number and think I am, but I don't really consider myself a big YouTuber.
I mean, when you have 100,000 subscribers, that's a pretty big deal. I mean, I think YouTube sends you like that silver play button.
Black,
yeah. So, I mean, when you receive that, you kind of are at least a little bit. But
yeah, I think I would be a big YouTuber, like I said, if over my entire time on YouTube, if I would have been able to have those games that, like I said, to continue making multiplayer content that my viewers enjoyed, I think I would be a huge YouTuber, because that was the time when I grew the most, when I had those games to upload and continue to play. And then after that, that's when things slowed down, is when I didn't have those games anymore. But if I were able to do that over the long term, oh yeah, I would be huge. Now I think I'm just, I think I'm fine where I'm at though. That's
fair enough. But ever think about just kind of just coasting off your channel success and just kind of making money off of it that way? Because I know you can't. I know you probably could make money off of it now, at least if you tried.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I do make money off of what I upload. It's just not my primary source of revenue. I never wanted YouTube to be my primary source of revenue, just because it's not stable.
Yeah,
it's not stable. It's not sustainable. One month could be this, unless you're somebody with a huge subscriber count and you're your average of viewership stays the same, then you can rely on that. But I never wanted to chance that and take that route. I always thought I'd rather this be, my hobby, where I make some secondary additional money from, than for it to be my primary source of income. I never wanted that. I always thought that's too risky. So it's always just going to be like that secondary thing for me.
That's fair. And I completely understand that, because YouTube is a competing platform for personalities. So if you're not able to post anything or do anything 1 week or another, YouTube completely screws your channel.
Yeah.
I completely had that happen to me when I stopped doing my podcast for a year. So yeah, I was stunted in growth practically.
Yep.
But I guess with that, I guess I wanted to know, you feel like you've had any big accomplishments though, with your podcast or anything like that? Having either a guest on from a big company or anything like that?
I mean, I've been able to interview several different people from the industry, like Gene from the Washington Post, Gene Park from Washington Post, Jason Schreier, Colin Moriarty, what's his name? That does the Souls games, Cowboy. What's his name?
I know who you're talking about.
I was just talking to him the other day. But yeah, he pretty much does the Souls games. It's gonna come to me in a second. But yeah, I've been able to interview different people from the industry, and different cool personalities, some developers. Fighting Cowboy, yeah. Thank you, Devil. Fighting Cowboy. Different personalities, just different gamers in this community. So I think all those are cool. Like I said, I did get the plaque for the 100,000. That's an accomplishment. I think just the fact that I have this podcast that people know about and people watch, and they support monetarily, and I'm able to give the podcast members just payment each month for it. I think all that's just really a great accomplishment, and I think that's all cool.
All right, that's cool. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's definitely a big accomplishment when you get like industry people on. To be honest, because like, because then that's at least when like people know about you or like what you're doing at the very least.
Yeah.
So, are you happy? Are you happy with that success? Do you plan on continuing that though?
Yeah, I definitely like doing interviews specifically, right? The only thing about it is I can't just interview anybody. It has to be somebody I actually want to talk to. Like I see some people interview like a lot of different people on their channels or their podcasts, and that's cool. But my thing is, like, I wouldn't have nothing to say to these people, right? I feel like some people interview people just because they're a personality and just because they're somebody like a big name in the industry, which is can be great for your channel, but I can't like fake interest. I gotta actually want to have a conversation with you and have some questions that I want to ask you for me to interview you, or I'm just gonna be like, I don't care. You could be the most popular person. If I don't have any interest in you, I'm not gonna talk to you. So it's not a lot of people that I actually want to interview.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's kind of how I'm
select them out.
Yeah, I think that's kind of how I'm tackling how I interview people, because I really like to get people's stories more, really. Because like if I don't have if it doesn't seem like they have a story to tell, like at least like either content wise or gaming wise, like I kind of like, I don't know, it might not be that interesting of a story,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But, yeah. So. But that's interesting. You're really thinking about like going into the interview side of stuff, huh?
Just whenever somebody, it pops up that there's somebody I'm interested in. It doesn't happen very often, honestly.
Fair enough.
So it's just when it calls for it.
Ever try to reach out to some people?
Only when I know I want to talk to them.
Okay.
But I mean, everybody that I've reached out to, I've interviewed them. So
I've actually got a question. Have you tried to reach out to like Mystic Ryan or anything like that, big PlayStation personalities at the very least?
Not for an interview. He's been on my podcast though.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that.
Yeah. It was a while ago.
Yeah. That's cool. Okay, so I guess that kind of leads me to my next question, though. But like, what like your future plans are for your show and like your channel, though. Like, because I know you're gonna talk about that, but I want to say that for this moment.
I don't have any specific plans. I just think I have just overall thoughts that when I have some more free time, and when my life just gives me the ability to invest more in the channel and spend more time doing stuff on the channel, then I could probably grow it more and invest in it more. Because that's really the challenge, is just timing. It's just time, right? So I'm just at a very busy period in life. So I'm like, I think like maybe like a year and some change, year and a half, I'll be at a place where like, oh yeah, I can execute this idea I had on my channel, or I got some time, life is stable and steady, where I can dedicate some time to doing this now on the channel. Not 100% sure what those things are yet, but it'll just lead to me being more active in making content and making videos. So that's really all my plans really are. It's just to be a little bit more active in about a year and some change.
All right, interesting. So just kind of take it more consistently, at least.
Yeah.
Also, Farb in the chat saying that you should reach out to Grums on Twitter for a one-on-one.
That guy's such a grifter. I wouldn't be against it. I doubt he would probably agree. And I also don't know if I want to have a conversation with people that I think are just disingenuous and dishonest people and are grifters. 'Cause I think they're just so full of shit and just
I can agree.
I think they're just so full of shit. That, it's just the people I talk to, I want to interview are more people that I want to know. I want to know their perspective on things and what they think about things. And Grums is just one of those people where I know your stance and I know how you think, and I think you're an idiot.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So yeah.
Especially when some of his thoughts aren't even like really his own. He's just kind of following what other people are saying that he probably watches or like talks to.
Yeah, I think he's found a lane, and a lot of people are in this. It's the outrage culture where everything is. It's this outrage witch hunt culture where people are looking for somebody to attack and something to be mad at, and people like him just take advantage of that. Where we want somebody to witch hunt, we want to get out our knives and fork, we want to be mad at something, and they channel that rage. They channel people's rage to get them hyped up and angry, to chase this ghost and chase these demons that are not really there, at least not to the magnitude that they're portraying them to exist. And they profit from that. He's profiting. That's all he's doing. He's just profiting from people's imaginary demon chasing.
Practically.
That's all. So yeah.
I guess I'll wrap up by asking you this kind of question, because I always like to get like other content creators, like get their advice, like for people who would want to like do what we do, like enter, like just get into gaming and get into like podcasting or making content. What advice would you have to give to those people?
Don't copy nobody. Just do what comes naturally to you. The level of success that I got, whatever level that is, I just got it by being myself. That doesn't mean that a lot of people agree with me or a lot of people even like things I say or how I am, because there's a lot of people that don't. But I'm literally just being myself. Some people think the things I say or how I act is just for attention or views, or it's hot takes. I do nothing for views. Everything I say is just like what I actually believe and feel. And just my personality is just completely real. So just be yourself, because people will attract to you naturally if there's other people and they'll attract to you for different reasons. But at least when you get an audience, they're watching you for you and not some personality that you created and now have to keep up. So just be yourself. Talk about the things you're naturally interested in. Me, I don't force anything. Like if there's not something I actually want to talk about or something I want to do, I don't do it. I'll let my channel be completely dry before I talk about something that I don't actually want to, or do something that I don't actually want to. So just act on what you're passionate about.
I can appreciate that honesty you have there. rather just quit YouTube instead of just like talking about like stuff you don't care about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most people will probably just try to milk the content,
Yeah, I can't do it.
Understandable. But yeah, so I guess it's been a pleasure having you on though. Let people know where they can find you at. And yeah, I also made sure to put links to all your socials in the description, but just go ahead and just tell people.
Yeah, you could check me out. Channel is Broken Games HDR. My podcast is Weapon Wheel Podcast. On Sundays at 5 p.m. EST. And yeah, talk about gaming news, talk about whatever I feel like. Hopefully, I can only hope that there's just some games, multiplayer, single player, that I'll want to play and stream more of them in the future. So yeah.
Are you gonna be playing that Concord at all when it releases?
Absolutely not.
I figured. But not a lot of good multiplayers out these days, huh?
Nope, not at all.
Yeah. With that, I do appreciate you being on here, though, and this is a pretty good episode, and I hope you feel the same. And for everybody you watching, hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend, and peace.
Later.